I'm Misha, Adobe creator and producer of the Deep Dive podcast. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 22, and today we will be doing a deep dive into Zelda throughout the years. Okay, it looks like Grace and David have their snacks ready and are settled in behind the microphones, so let's get going.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're heading into the legendary world of Hyrule.
That's right, a deep dive into the Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have a hard time finding anyone, gamer or not, who doesn't recognize that green tunic, right?
Or the princess, the villain, those tunes.
Oh, the music instantly takes you there. It's just pure adventure.
It really is. And for, almost 40 years now, Zelda hasn't just been fun.
No, it's really shaped gaming itself.
Definitely. It always seems to hit that sweet spot, critically loved, sells incredibly well, generation after generation.
So our mission today, basically, is to figure out why. What's the magic here?
We want to look at the foundations, Hyrule itself, the world.
The characters, obviously. Link, Zelda, Ganon.
And the Triforce, that central symbol.
Then we'll track how it all evolved, hit those landmark games, the big innovations.
Yeah, the stuff that changed things, not just for Zelda, but for, everything.
And we'll get into the gameplay loops, the story themes, the art, the sound.
And, of course, the huge cultural impact it's had.
Because, like you said, it's more than just games, isn't it? It feels bigger.
It's like this living mythology, a real cornerstone of culture, I think.
Okay, so let's start with the world itself. Hyrule.
Right. Hyrule. It's this sprawling fantasy kingdom. Feels kind of like medieval Europe sometimes.
Yeah, but with, deserts and volcanoes and forests all packed together.
Exactly. So diverse. And always full of hidden corners, secrets waiting for you to find them.
And it's not just random, is it? There's a whole creation myth.
Oh, yeah. A proper backstory. The three golden goddesses.
Din. She made the land, right? Power.
Yep. Din for power shaped the earth. Then Nairu, goddess of wisdom, brought law and order.
And Furore?
Furore breathed life into it all. Courage.
It's interesting Shigeru Miyamoto's inspiration for it all.
You mean his childhood exploring?
Yeah, wandering around Kyoto. He wanted players to feel that same wonder, that thrill of finding something hidden.
He called it a miniature garden, didn't he? Something you could revisit.
I love that image. So who lives in this garden? Mainly the Hylians, right?
The Hylians, yeah. The ones with the pointy ears, sort of elf-like.
But the real core of it all, the main drama, it always comes down to three figures, doesn't it? Bound by destiny or something like that.
Absolutely. Link, Zelda, and Ganon. The eternal triangle, you could say.
Let's start with Link, the hero. Our hero, really.
He's always the player character, yeah. Usually a young Hylian guy, always courageous.
His backstory might change a bit, game to game.
But that core bravery is always there. That determination, and his name, Link.
It's meant to be the link between us, the player, and the world.
Exactly. Connects you right into the adventure. And he's almost always the one chosen to carry the Triforce of Courage.
Then there's Princess Zelda. The series is named after her, after all.
Right. And she's usually portrayed as really wise, benevolent, got these mystical powers, too, tied to the goddess Hylia.
And importantly, she's not just waiting to be rescued, usually.
Definitely not. She's often really active, playing a key part in fighting Ganon. Uses her smarts, her own power.
I heard Miyamoto named her after Zelda Fitzgerald.
Yeah, F. Scott Fitzgerald's wife. He liked the sound of the name, apparently. Felt elegant, strong, and fittingly, she's tied to the Triforce of Wisdom.
Which brings us to the big bad, Ganon.
Trade in your boring job for a brilliant career using Adobe Creative Cloud. Start learning now with the free trial link in the description.
Or sometimes Ganondorf.
The main villain, yeah. Pure malice, always after power, wants the Triforce to take over Hyrule, twisted his way.
He's got two main forms, right? The human-like Ganondorf.
Usually leader of the Gerudo people, this sort of desert tribe.
And then the monstrous pig-like form, just called Ganon.
Yeah, his more beastly side. And his evil isn't just random. It's tied to this ancient curse.
From Demise, back in Skyward Sword.
Exactly. Demise cursed them, basically say his hatred would be reborn forever to fight Link and Zelda's descendants. So it's this endless cycle. And Ganon, he's almost always linked to the Triforce of power.
And that Triforce, it's central to everything. The goal, the conflict.
It really is. This sacred gold thing, three triangles joined together, left behind by the goddesses.
Representing their essences. Power, wisdom, courage.
Supposedly hidden in the sacred realm, and they say it grants any wish to whoever touches it.
But there's a catch, isn't there? Something about balance.
A huge catch. Ocarina of Time really laid this out. The Triforce basically judges you.
Judges your heart.
Yeah. If your heart doesn't have a good balance of power, wisdom, and courage, the Triforce splits apart.
Ah, so that's why Ganon usually only gets power.
Exactly. His overwhelming ambition means he only gets the piece that matches him.
And the other two pieces, they seek out Zelda and Link.
Wisdom goes to Zelda, courage finds Link. It's like destiny finding its vessels.
That's actually a really neat mechanic. It's not just a plot device.
No, it's symbolic. This whole idea that true righteous power needs balance. It can't just be raw strength or ambition.
It needs wisdom to guide it and courage to act properly.
Precisely. It's a philosophical point baked right into the core conflict. You see echoes of that in, well, real-world ideas about leadership, too. Unchecked power is flawed.
And you see the Triforce symbol everywhere in Hyrule.
Oh, yeah, it's on the royal crest, the Hylian shield.
And sometimes as marks on their hands, right? Link and Zelda.
Yeah, signifying their connection. And, fun fact, the design itself.
It looks like a Japanese family crest.
Mitsuroko.
Yeah.
The crest of the Huju clan from medieval Japan. Shows those diverse influences again.
Okay, so we have the world, the main players, the central MacGuffin, but the history, the timeline, that's famously complicated.
Huh. Understatement of the year for Zelda fans. For ages, it was just pure speculation trying to piece it all together.
Until Nintendo dropped the official timeline in 2011.
Right, in the Hyrule Historia book. And it was wild. It actually splits after Ocarina of Time.
Into 3 branches.
Yep. The child timeline, following young Link's path. The adult timeline, where Link defeated Ganon as an adult. And then the really interesting one.
The Fallen Hero timeline, where Link actually loses.
Exactly. A timeline where Ganon wins initially, leading to a darker version of Hyrule in games like A Link to the Past.
It kind of confirmed that Miyamoto and the team did have some internal logic all along, even if they didn't shout about it.
Seemed like it. So let's maybe walk through some of those key games, the ones that really defined things or brought big changes, starting at the beginning.
The Legend of Zelda, 1986. NES, the OG.
Laid the groundwork. Link gathering Triforce pieces.
8 of them, wisdom pieces. To beat Ganon, save Zelda, the core is all there.
But the big deal was how you played it, that top-down view. But it was so open, non-linear.
You could kind of wander off, find dungeons almost by accident.
Totally. And the dungeons themselves were key, but the real revolution, technically.
A save feature, battery backup.
Game changer. Absolutely huge for consoles. Suddenly you could have these massive adventures you chipped away at.
Like proper computer RPGs, but on your Nintendo.
Exactly. Moved consoles way beyond just quick arcade-style games.
Okay, jump ahead to 91, Super Nintendo, A Link to the Past.
Ah, for so many people, the 2D Zelda. It just perfected that formula.
It refined everything, added so much, the light and dark worlds.
That parallel world mechanic was brilliant, opened up so many puzzle possibilities.
And the Master Sword, the Blade of Evil's Bane, first appearance, right?
Yep, became totally iconic. Plus, it really fleshed out the lore, the creation myth, the 7 sages.
Gameplay felt smoother too. Diagonal movement, the Pegasus boots.
Zoom, and the hook shot. Essential Zelda gear.
The story has Link fighting Aghanim, this evil wizard.
Who turned out to be Ganon's pawn, naturally. And visually, it pushed the SNES hard. Looked amazing.
When? 1998. N64, Ocarina of Time.
The big one. The leap to 3D. And they didn't just manage it, they redefined 3D gaming.
Seriously, Z-targeting. That lock-on system.
Revolutionary. Made 3D combat and interaction feel intuitive for maybe the first time.
And the context-sensitive buttons. Things just worked.
The camera mostly behaved. You could ride a Pana across Hyrule Field. It felt huge, immersive.
And the ocarina itself. Using music for puzzles, for warping.
So clever. Wove it right into the gameplay. And the story, young Link, adult Link, trying to stop Ganondorf after he gets the Triforce of Power.
Just epic.
Trade in your boring job for a brilliant career using Adobe Creative Cloud. Start learning now with the free trial link in the description.
Consistently tops best games ever. Lists for a reason. Its influence on narrative, on 3D design. Immense.
Truly a landmark. But then, just 2 years later, 2000, same console.
Majora's Mask, the weird one, the dark one.
Yeah, direct sequel to Ocarina's Child ending, but totally different vibe. Termina, this parallel world.
And that 3-day time loop, the moon falling, so much pressure.
Intense, really innovative mechanic, forced you to learn everyone's schedules, routines.
Plus the masks, transforming into a Deku, a Goron, a Zora.
Each with unique abilities. It was brilliant. And the themes, much darker. Grief, anxiety, loss.
Acceptance, maybe. Dealing with doom. It was heavy stuff.
Really complex for its time. Needed that N64 expansion pack, too, for the extra power.
Okay, moving on. GameCube, 2002. Wind Waker. Visually. Quite a shock for some people back then.
Oh yeah, the cell shading. Caused a bit of an uproar initially. People wanted realistic graphics after Ocarina of Majora.
But it looks timeless now, doesn't it? So expressive.
Totally holds up. And the setting Hyrule flooded the Great Sea.
Sailing became the main thing. Exploring islands, using the Wind Waker baton to control the wind.
A very different feel. Link trying to save his sister, Errol, and ends up facing Ganondorf again.
Then 2006, Twilight Princess. Kind of the opposite direction visually.
Big time. Back to the child timeline, but much darker, more realistic for the time. Mature, somber tone.
And the big gimmick was turning into a wolf.
Right, Wolf Link. In the Twilight Realm, this shadow dimension invading Hyrule gave you different senses, abilities.
Came out on GameCube and the Wii, right? We had motion controls for the sword.
Yep, swing in the Wiimote. The story involved fighting Zant, this Twilight usurper, and of course Ganondorf pulling the strings again.
Fast forward again. 2011 Wii, Skyward Sword. The origin story.
The very beginning of the timeline. This one really leaned into motion controls with the Wii Motion Plus.
More precise, one-to-one sword movement.
Supposedly, yeah. Very skill-based combat. And a unique art style, again, sort of painterly, impressionistic.
Introduced the stamina meter, too, and really dug into the Master Sword's origins, the whole demise conflict.
Link coming down from Skyloft, the floating island, to rescue Zelda on the surface below. And the music.
First fully orchestrated score, right?
Yeah, it sounded huge. Very cinematic.
And that brings us pretty much up to date. Breath of the Wild, 2017. Tears of the Kingdom, 2023. Wii U and Switch, a total shakeup.
Seismic is the word, the open-air philosophy.
Yes.
Breath of the Wild just blew the doors off.
Huge, seamless, open world. Go anywhere, climb anything.
The physics engine, the chemistry.
Yeah.
You can mess with things in amazing ways. Set grass on fire, use metal objects during lightning.
So many emergent possibilities. Climbing was massive. Weapon durability. That was controversial.
Definitely forced you to adapt, scavenge. And instead of big dungeons, you had loads of little shrines.
Puzzle boxes, basically. And the Shake a Slate, powers bombs, magnesis, stasis.
Tears of the Kingdom just doubled down on all that. Added the sky islands, the depths underneath, verticality.
And the new abilities fuse, combining weapons and items.
Ultra Hand for building crazy contraptions. Ascend to pop through ceilings. Recall to rewind time. So many tools.
Zonai devices, too, for building vehicles and machines.
Breath of the Wild was about Link waking up after 100 years to stop Calamity Ganon. Tears of the Kingdom, a new disaster, Hyrule transformed again.
It's really interesting how the hardware often seems to drive these big shifts.
Absolutely. NES saves enabled the first big adventure. N64 3D demanded new controls, like Z-targeting.
Wii motion controls led to Skyward Sword's combat focus.
And maybe the push for open world was a reaction to feeling some of the 3D games got a bit too linear. A desire for pure freedom.
Seems plausible. Zelda's always been good at adapting, using new tech to try new things.
Breath of the Wild felt like a conscious effort to return to that original Zelda sense of just exploring and finding things out for yourself. Less hand-holding.
Let's dig into that gameplay loop a bit more. The traditional Zelda loop was pretty well defined for a long time.
Oh yeah, it was a classic formula, really satisfying. You'd explore the overworld.
Following the story or maybe finding clues, puzzles.
Leading you to the next big dungeon. And often you'd need an item from the last dungeon to even get there.
Right, creating that sense of interconnectedness. Then you get inside the dungeon.
And there's a whole maze. Themed, usually. You need to find keys, the map, the compass.
Map shows the layout, compass shows chests, and the boss.
Yeah.
Standard stuff now, but they nailed it early.
Yeah, puzzles everywhere.
Yeah.
Environmental stuff, logic puzzles, using the items you already have.
Plus, each dungeon usually had its own special item, right?
Exactly. The hookshot, the boomerang, bombs, whatever. You'd find it midway through, and suddenly you could access new parts of the dungeon.
And often that item was key to beating the boss at the end.
Very often, yeah. The boss fight was like the final exam for using that new item correctly.
And beating the boss, getting the heart container, and that main item.
That was the big reward.
Right.
Because that new item didn't just work in the dungeon.
No, it opened up new parts of the overworld, let you get to places you couldn't reach before.
Leading you towards the next dungeon. It was this perfect, structured loop of exploration, puzzle solving, combat, reward, and new exploration.
People call it Zelda-like for a reason. Or sometimes compare it to Metroidvania games.
Yeah, that item-gated progression, unlocking a connected world bit by bit. Very satisfying sense of progress.
But then, like we said, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom just threw a lot of that out.
Well, changed the focus dramatically. The open-air idea prioritizes freedom first.
You get your main tools, the runes, the arm abilities really early on.
Right, so traversal isn't locked behind dungeon completion in the same way. The focus shifts to interacting with the systems.
The physics, the elements,
Yeah,
finding your own solutions to problems.
exactly. There isn't always just one key for one lock. You can experiment, combine things, approach challenges differently.
So exploration isn't just about getting to the next objective.
Exploration is the objective in many ways. You're driven by curiosity. What's over that hill? What's in that cave? What's that weird structure?
Shrines, Korok seeds, towers, wells. The world is packed with points of interest.
And those big, game-changing dungeon items are mostly gone. Or finding them isn't tied to the main dungeons, the divine beasts, or temples.
The combat loop feels different too, more about survival.
Yeah, with weapon durability, you're constantly scavenging, gathering materials for cooking, for upgrading armor. That's its own loop.
And in Tears of the Kingdom, managing Zonai devices and energy.
It encourages engaging with the world constantly, but maybe feels less tied to unlocking the next big area than finding, say, the hookshot used to.
And it's so non-linear, you can tackle the main goals in pretty much any order.
Totally. Which changes how you feel, reward, and progression. Classic Zelda gave you big permanent unlocks. Felt very directed.
Open-air Zelda gives you more frequent, smaller rewards, resources, maybe a small stat boost, mastering a system.
Right. It's more about intrinsic motivation. The joy of discovery, mastering the tools you have, more player agency.
But maybe less of that guided, aha, I conquered this specific challenge and got the key item feeling.
Some longtime fans definitely miss that more structured sense of accomplishment. Yeah. It's a different kind of satisfaction.
Beyond just playing the game, though, Zelda sticks with you. The stories, the themes, they resonate.
Absolutely. There's a depth there, this feeling of tapping into real mythology.
They're great at world building, creating these believable places with history, culture. You get lost in them.
And Link's journey, nearly every time, it maps almost perfectly onto Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. The monomyth.
A universal story pattern. Ordinary world, call to adventure.
Crossing the threshold, trials, mentors, facing the big evil, transformation, return. All the beats are usually there.
And calling him Link makes you, the player, feel like you're on that archetypal journey.
Connects you right in. And the core conflict is always that primal struggle. Good versus evil, light versus dark.
Often feels cyclical too, right? Especially with that demise curse idea.
Exactly. Destiny, reincarnation. This battle is fated to repeat. And the Triforce itself is loaded with meaning.
Power, wisdom, courage. We talked about the balance.
Right. Power, Ganon. Strength, ambition, but easily corrupted. Wisdom, Zelda. Knowledge, strategy, insight. Courage, Link. Bravery, action, perseverance. Often needed just to wield the Master Sword.
And only a balanced heart can hold all three. That's the big philosophical point. Equilibrium is true strength.
It's a core theme running through the whole series.
But individual games explore specific things too, don't they?
Definitely. Ocarina of Time is huge on coming of age, time passing, losing innocence, consequences.
Majora's Mask.
Oh,
Wow. Grief, loss, anxiety, friendship, acceptance, facing doom. So much packed in there.
Wind Waker feels like it's about letting go of the past, embracing the future, family, finding a new path.
Skyward Sword focuses on origins, destiny, duty, sacrifice.
And Breath of the Wild with Link's amnesia. It's about failure, memory, rediscovering history, redemption. That exploration of grief in Majora's Mask through the side character.
Yeah, seeing how everyone in Termina was coping or not coping.
It made it incredibly powerful, emotionally resonant, way beyond a typical fantasy game.
And what's cool is how the gameplay often reinforces those themes. They're not separate things.
Exactly. The mechanics serve the story. Ocarina's time travel shows you the consequences across eras.
Majora's Mask's time loop makes you feel the pressure, the anxiety, the repetition of those final days. Connects you to the townspeople's dread.
Wind Waker sailing across that huge ocean mirrors, letting go of sunken Hyrule, and seeking a new horizon.
Breath of the Wild's open world and finding those lost memories literally makes you piece together the past, serving the theme of rediscovery.
That synergy is just chef's kiss. It's brilliant storytelling through interaction.
And you can't talk Zelda without talking about the look and the sound, the whole sensory experience.
Oh, absolutely fundamental. The visual style has evolved so much, but it's always distinctive.
From the 8-bit pixels to A Link to the Past's 16-bit defining look.
To the N64's leap into 3D with Ocarina and Majora's unique aesthetics.
Then the big shifts in the GameCube Wii era, Wind Waker's cell shading.
Twilight Princess's moody realism, Skyward Sword's painterly look, each felt deliberate.
And now, the Switch games. That beautiful stylized look, sort of anime-ish but detailed, atmospheric, captures the scale, the history.
Each style enhances the specific game's tone and themes perfectly.
And the sound. Koji Kondo. Legend.
Absolutely. Those themes,
Uh,
the main overworld theme alone, it's instant nostalgia, instant adventure.
The music does so much heavy lifting for atmosphere. Kokiri Forest sounds peaceful. Dungeons sound tense. Hyrule Field sounds epic.
And the ambient sounds too. They immerse you. But sound is also functional.
Ocarina's melodies being actual gameplay mechanic.
Yeah. And just the feedback sounds, collecting a rupee, solving a puzzle.
That little jingle, or the enemy alert sound, the bomb fuse, it's all part of the language of Zelda.
It really is. The art, the music, the sound effects, they all work together. Wind Waker's brightness matches its spirit. Twilight Princess's darkness fits its themes. It's all intentional.
Contributing to that lasting impact, that emotional connection people have.
And the impact on the industry, on culture, it's massive.
Undeniable. The first game basically pioneered the console action-adventure RPG.
Battery saves were huge. Ocarina's Z targeting set the standard for 3D games for years.
And Breath of the Wild's influence on open-world design is everywhere now. Even the original Zelda influenced open worlds back in the day.
You see Zelda's influence in so many other great games. Okami, Darksiders, Genshin Impact. Yeah. The list goes on.
And it's leaked into pop culture everywhere. The characters, the music, the Triforce symbol, the Master Sword.
People know them, even if they haven't played. References in TV shows, movies.
That "it's dangerous to go alone" line is a classic meme.
Totally. And the fan community is just incredible. So passionate.
Fan art, music covers, cosplay, endless lore debates, fan theories.
Hyrule itself feels like this blend of cultures, too.
Yeah.
Western fantasy, Japanese folklore.
Middle Eastern vibes with the Gerudo, maybe some Celtic stuff.
Yeah, it draws from everywhere. It makes the world feel richer, more layered.
And Link's design, often quite androgynous, that's resonated with a lot of people, sparked discussions.
Yeah, about gender representation. It's interesting how that's been interpreted over the years.
So why does it last? Why does Zelda endure?
I think it's that mix. The joy of exploration, that satisfying blend of action and puzzles.
Immersive worlds, unforgettable music.
And that core hero's journey appeal. It taps into something fundamental.
But you called it a living mythology earlier. That feels key.
I think so.
Yeah.
The way the core characters are reincarnated, the story gets retold in different eras.
The timeline evolving, being reinterpreted.
It's like how real myths change over time. Borrowing from cultures, reinventing itself. The fans keeping it alive, it stays fresh.
It's not static. It keeps growing, changing.
Exactly. That keeps new generations coming back.
So wrapping up, from 8-bit beginnings to these huge open worlds, Zelda's always been more than just a game series.
It's built on that core trio: courage, wisdom, power in this amazing world, Hyrule.
Driven by gameplay that balances exploring, puzzling, fighting.
And brought to life by incredible art and sound.
Then its success seems to come from balancing that tradition with constant innovation.
Knowing when to stick to the formula and when to completely reinvent it, yeah. But always keeping that spirit of adventure, the hero's journey.
It really does invite you to live the story, explore, experiment, become part of the legend yourself.
The adventure definitely continues. Zelda's power as interactive entertainment isn't fading anytime soon.
It really makes you think, though. If Zelda is this kind of living mythology, how does its evolving timeline, its reinterpretations, how does that mirror the way actual real-world myths and legends change and adapt over centuries through different storytellers and cultures?
That's a great question to chew on, something to ponder until our next deep dive.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive. I'm Misha, and let me send out a huge thank you for listening. If you want more content on gaming, education, or other fun stuff, head over and find me on YouTube. Link is in the show notes. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next deep dive.